Okay, I'm going to step on a few toes today. And I'm okay with that because in doing so, I'm actually going to help relieve stress in an awful lot of people. Hi everyone, I'm Pam Barnhill and I have helped thousands of homeschoolers create doable systems, beat burnout, and bring more joy to their homeschool day. Welcome to episode 31 of the 10 Minutes to a Better Homeschool podcast. Okay, so when you've been around in homeschooling for a little while, you may have heard about this magical unicorn of planning from behind. We're going to plan from behind. I plan from behind. It helps me to be more spontaneous. It keeps me from getting stressed out when I can't follow the plan. And on the surface, it can seem like a good idea. But in the end, I really think it just causes way more stress. And I want you to hear me out about this one. But before I tell you about that, let me tell you about our homeschool planning course. Yeah, I got one. Ulterior motive here to the nth degree. But you can check out Put Your Homeschool Year on Autopilot, which is the real way to relieve stress by going to pambarnhill.com/autopilot. Okay, so let's talk about this whole planning from behind thing. So really, there is something valuable about this process, but it's not planning from behind. What it really is journaling what you did. And I think the misnomer is okay for some people, for the people who do it organically, have done it for years, who do it well, who aren't stressed out by the idea. But I think the danger comes from the fact that there are a lot of people who kind of latch on to this concept of planning from behind. And if you're listening to the podcast right now, I'm making the little air quotes while I say it. And they think it's going to make their life easier when really it just causes them a lot more stress. So the good thing is journaling what you did, making a list of all the things you did, whether you planned to do those things or didn't plan to do those things. I mean, that's one of the wonderful things about homeschooling is that so much learning takes place that we never planned to do. And journaling all that down is great because I think it teaches us a couple of things. We have to learn the lessons of learning being organic. So many of us grew up with the baggage of attending either the public school system or some kind of formalized learning environment, or even second generation homeschoolers had moms who were very much using curriculum in a box. And that's the way that we knew things. That's what we knew. And so that's what we think learning always looks like. And by sitting down and taking time at the end of the day to journal or write down all of the things that we did, all of the things that happened this week, all of the ways that learning was experienced, learning took place that had nothing to do with anything that we planned, it's a very good thing. So don't get me wrong about that. I think it's a great practice. I think it helps us to see all the things that we're not doing that we don't always count, that totally should count. It's wonderful. It's not planning. And that's where the problem comes in, is because people hear others talking about this idea of planning from behind and they get it in their heads. Well, why is this not working for me? Like, why is it just causing me more stress? Why is it not something that's making my life easier? And it's because they kind of get the idea in their head that this is some kind of planning and some kind of magical planning at that. And it's really, really not. And so I want to kind of put forth instead that you can be way more spontaneous by planning some things out, which I think seems to be a little bit of a strain, like an oxymoron for most people. Like, oh, we're going to plan my spontaneity. What is planning? And the idea that I want you to think about is planning is simply preparedness. Planning is being prepared for something. And we can create plans for good days and plans for bad days. I always recommend that you kind of have a bad day plan tucked away in your pocket. And actually, I have a video I can link you to about planning for bad days. I made it with my friends Colleen Kessler and Jamie Martin from Simple Homeschool. So I'll give you that one so you can make your bad day plan. But what we're talking about right now is being prepared for all the good days, being prepared for all the normal days, being prepared for when we're in the mood to do science. We have science things ready that we want to do, because if you have to stop and go out and look up the teacher's guide and find all of the supplies and then make a run to the grocery store or go down to the craft store, or where did that book come from? Now I've got to reserve it from the library. If you're not prepared, then you lose the opportunity to do the thing. And so let's make a list of things that we want to do. Let's make a list of activities that we think sound interesting and fun. Let's get prepared for those wonderful things that we could be doing in our homeschool and be ready for them. Because if we aren't prepared and then we have to take the time to stop and prepare, by the time we get there, we've lost the mood to do the thing anyway. And so in some ways, being prepared helps us actually to be more spontaneous. So if I have all of the things ready, if I have all of the books in my house, if I have all of the art supplies ready, if I have all of the science experiment supplies ready, if I've thought about this list of possibilities of things that we could do, and I have everything that I need ready when the mood strikes, when Tuesday morning comes, when the toddler is actually behaving, we can then pick up and do the next thing. But if I haven't prepared in any way, well, then I'm simply going to miss those opportunities. So yeah, spontaneity somewhat can come from preparedness, and that's all planning is. It's actually being prepared and being ready to go. So one of the simplest things that you can do to plan that really won't mess with your spontaneity and will wait for you when those bad days happen is simply to make a list. Make a list of fun activities we want to do in our homeschool. Make a list of meaningful activities we want to do in our homeschool. Make a list of great books that we want to read in our homeschool. Make a list of things that you think are important for your children to do in your homeschool. And have these lists and have the supplies that you need to do these activities. And your days could simply just be choosing the next one off the list, which, surprise, is very much how we teach planning in our planning course. So it's the way I love to do it. It's the way I love to plan. And it just helps me to be prepared. And that's the whole point. All right, I will be back again next week. I'm going to be talking about how to juggle life and homeschooling. There's a secret here, and I've got it for you. So you're not going to want to miss that episode. Until then, keep on homeschooling.